already hit record. Okay, so we had a little technical delay there. So once again, there's three qualifiers. There's D shape in the chord. It would be, but that's a D shaped C. Here's a D shaped D. So we've got pitch. Pitch is D shaped D. But then we've got key of D. Because remember, D could be the root, or D could be the fifth of G, or it could be the fourth of A. Okay, so that would be a different, one would be Locrian and one would be Mixolydian, right? So the D could be like that, or if you're playing a D as the fourth of G, it would be, that's actually is the fourth, that D. Okay, and that's as the fifth, I guess. Yeah, D's the fifth of G. I knew that because this is Mixolydian, has your dominant seventh. And then D as the fourth of A. Okay, so we've got, sorry. So there's our Lydian fourth. Okay, so again, three qualifiers: D shape, D pitch, or D shaped chord, D shaped pitch, and then key of. What is it? Is it the first, the fourth, or the fifth? So that would be what this is. This is the key of D, because we're going to draw a fret knot here, and we're going to kind of lock it into being what it should be. We'll get a nice purple color because that's usually the color for D. See, the D is kind of purplish there. Alright, so even though that fret nut really didn't stand out, did it? So there's our fret nut. And we're going to start with the D shape, of course, but then we're going to go into this long pattern to get the 7, to get the 3. Remember, the 7th of D is a C sharp, and the 3rd of D is an F sharp. Okay, so these are two accidentals, let's say, in the key of D. We've got white keys and we've got black keys. The 4th of D, 1, 2, 3, 4, is G. Okay, so we're going to use the long pattern. So we're going to do the D pattern, and then we're going to go from the A pattern. Remember, D goes to A, goes to E, goes to C, goes to G, goes to D, just like the string circle. So here's our string circle. When we go up in strings shapes, not in strings, when we go up in strings, in tuning strings, we go in fourth. Fourth of E is A, fourth of A is D, fourth of D is G, fourth of the 3rd of G is B, and the 4th of B is E, right? But the string circle, first of all, it fixes that 3rd here, where E is just going to go to C and C is just going to go to E. Okay, so how does that work? Okay, so we're going to start here on a D shape down here. D shape's going to go to A shape's going to go to E shape to C. This is an augmented fifth. But now we're not doing it in string tuning. We're doing it in string shapes. So the D string shape would be 2, 3, 4, and then the A would be 5, 6. Okay, then the E string shape would be 7, 7, root 2. Okay, now the problem is we need to do the long pattern. Notice it didn't work. It would work down here. Alright, so we've got E is the second. We're going to do a D string shape. 2, 3, 4 is a D string shape. D goes to A in a fifth, fifth of A. 5, 6, so it's okay. Then A, the fifth of A is E, so we're going to go to that E string shape. But we can't do that if we've got the capo there, so we go into the long pattern. Okay, so we're back here. We're looking at the D, not the G. Okay, we're looking at D. We're going to start with the D pattern, but then we're going to go into just a long pattern. We're going to rifle through this thing. 5, 6, 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're there. We did a whole octave and then one. We did a Mixolydian and an Aeolian scale in the key of D. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're at 5, 6 again. Where does 5, 6 go? Where does A shape go? In caged, where does A shape go? Well, C, A, G, it goes to G. But we're not going to the G. We're going to skip G and we're going to go to the E shape. But we got to warp it up one. So once again, it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, root 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, then we're going to go into that E shape, but warped up one. Sorry, I warped it up twice. Like that. And then for B shape, we'll go to C shape. And notice the aliasing between that E shape and A shape, they're the same shape. Half step whole, half step whole. So you know you're gonna like come out of this thing like lightning, okay? You know, you're gonna go like to go into it again. That would be minor, because that's the Dorian for the key of D. Sorry, I played that D there. That didn't fit. So that's a good thing. Let's see what else we have to do. So we zoom out, look at the big picture, as they say. So we've got the new pattern here. We talked about that. We talked about how easy it is now to use this aliasing that I just talked about, coming out of the A shape, coming out of that 5, 6, right? So it was, 4, 5, 6 was the top line of that S3XL. But in any case, whether we're doing a long pattern or not, we want to move over one fret for the E shape. And then this is the shape, okay? The G shape is over, got two guys over on the right here. The D shape has two guys over on the right here. These are aliases. In other words, if you play them, you don't know which one you're playing. So it helps to know where you're at to play it. Once you get into this pattern, we'll be talking about this pattern a lot from time to time. We'll be invoking the pattern because, just like we invoked the S2L and the S3L. Okay, but now we want to look at it with string shapes, so we want to look at it as a D to an A to an E, not just this 7L shape thing. Everything's 7L. Look at this 7L. Look at that 7, and there's the L. Here's your 7, and here's your L right here. We looked at that. Now remember, it's got to warp over. Okay, it's got to warp over. So once again, if we're looking at we're looking at a 6 string here. So for that 6 string, we're going to want to plop this string on top of here, and I'm going to pre-shape it before we put the shape in, so I don't get sick of looking at shapes getting warped. But I mean physically warped, like stretched, like a piece of bubble gum with a picture on it. Okay, now we're going to warp it over. Now we're going to do the tuning warp. We're going to adjust for the tuning third, like that, and we're going to come up with a G box here. We're not going to come up with a D box here. And why do you think we're going to come up with the D box? Well, if I asked people what box would we come up with, how would you know? Look at the bottom or the top string. That is the string shape. That defines the G string shape, 6, 7 root right there. Okay, so that's the pattern is good for that. You would want to start. Here's your aliasing. 6 whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Then to the 5, 6 center. Okay, the meat of the sandwich, so to speak. Then we got our 7 root 3, and then we got half step whole. But this is warped up half step whole, and then we start the pattern over again. That's all it is. So you just remember what the pattern is and you start it over again. Now let's look at that double pattern.